They are the workhorse of your running life, yet we often neglect them. We don't pay attention and take care of them how they should be. What am I talking about? Your feet, of course. So today, I want to give you 3 tips to take care of your feet so they can take care of you. Welcome to the channel, another episode of Runner's High. I'm Jesse Funk, the host of this show and the owner of Solpri, where we're going to dive a little bit into some of the things we do here in the company, and that is skincare. Taking care of your skin, taking care of your feet, and all the things that are involved with that. So, one of the things we don't really think about is, how do I take care of my feet? We often think about it when we have pains, right? When we're like, I've got plantar fasciitis, or my Achilles hurts, or I stubbed my toe on something. But if everything's going well, do we really think about it? No, we don't. And I think, generally speaking, as a culture, it's changing a little bit, but we as men, if you're a man, I guess I don't know because I'm talking to a camera, are particularly bad at it. Women are generally better at self-care than we as men are, but hopefully we're changing the wheels a little bit, being a little more preventive in that nature. So, what are the issues that can crop up with your feet? Well, there are a lot of things that can crop up, but some of the things that we deal with at Solpri, we kind of specialize in sweat and the effects that sweat have on you in general, or your feet in particular. So, we have a whole series of products called the Shield series that deals with fungus, which is not really a fun thing to talk about, but I did shoot a fun commercial with my friend Brian on the channel. If you go to the main channel page, I think it's still the main thing. If not, you can search on YouTube for Shield soap commercial, something like that. That brings a little humor to the subject. But it's something that happens to a lot of us because our feet are sweaty, they're in sweaty socks all the time. And it's not even necessarily, hey, I went to the gym and stepped on something and then got fungus, which is kind of the catch in the video that I shot with my friend Brian. But it's that sometimes the bacteria, the good bacteria that are on our skin, overgrow because of the environment that they're in, all of that sweat. So we have a Shield series that deals with that. In particular for feet, we make something like this. This is our salt soak. So it has those kind of fungus fighting essential oils in it, and then also has a couple different salts, including Epsom salt, which is not technically a salt, and Dead Sea salt. And those things help rehydrate some of the skin on your feet and get some of those nutrients in to deal with calluses and soften those calluses up if you've built them up on your feet. The other thing that you need to worry about with your feet, and you'll know it immediately, is if you're going to get any kind of hot spots and blisters, which is why we make something like this, which is our natural anti-chafe balm. So if you want to check those out, you're interested in those, solpri.com/shop down here on the screen below. Unfortunately, I can't make the screen clickable, but type that in, solpri.com/shop. But there are other things that you can do that don't necessarily involve buying products from us, although I obviously would appreciate it. So let's talk about what else you can do to take care of your feet. And one of the biggest things that you can do for yourself is actually a preventive measure, and that is get proper fitting shoes and don't wear too tight of shoes. And you might be thinking, Jesse, isn't that the same thing? Aren't you saying the same thing? And yeah, I can see how you might say that, but let me talk about it, because I actually see it as 2 separate issues. And the reason I see it as 2 separate issues is because we have different pairs of shoes for different reasons, right? So maybe not all of us, but if you come from a competitive background, you ran in school, or you're in any kind of tune with what's going on in the larger running community, you probably have multiple pairs of shoes. So first, getting a proper fitting shoe prevents, calluses and blisters to begin with. Although you can obviously use an anti-chafe balm if it's still in there, rubbing in a certain area and you just can't get around it because of how your foot is shaped. But there is the case of racing shoes, right? And this is where I say, okay, we've got a proper fitting shoe to train in, But when it comes to racing, sometimes people's brains get ahead of themselves and they think lighter is better. Lighter is better, which is true to some degree. And it depends on what distance you're racing to as to how much cushion you need, how light the shoes should be compared to your trainer, those kind of things. So if you ran in school, you've seen things like these. These are spikes. Some of my spikes on the bottom. You use these in cross country, or in college you'll use these in track. I don't think they're allowed in most high school track meets, though maybe that's changing. I know there are a number of people that would say, okay, this is a very lightweight shoe. Like these in particular, I think weigh 4 ounces, somewhere around there. There's not much to this shoe. And so they would take that and they'd say, I'm going to size down a half size from what I would normally wear to cut off even more weight. The problem with that is that now you're probably going to screw up your feet pretty bad, and they're going to swell throughout the race. They're really not going to fit. That's probably going to adjust your biomechanics a little bit. And you have shaved off, a fractional ounce for what is probably going to be a much larger detriment to your feet. It can be, not always, it also can be that when you're wearing too tight of shoes, you can end up with, misshapen toes, hammer toes, things like that. It is not always the case of tight shoes. Sometimes it's genetic. Getting bunions in particular is often a genetic thing, not necessarily a shoe thing, though it can be correlated. So making sure you are training in proper fitting shoes and also racing in proper fitting shoes that aren't too tight is going to be one of the 3 main pillars of that foot routine to take care of your feet. So again, starting off, we've got all of our skincare stuff that we can do to take care of any issues that crop up or fungus or anything like that. Proper fitting shoes. And let's get on to number 3. And number 3 is kind of as you'd expect, I'd hope. Get good socks. Now, this is something that we talked about a lot when I went to the shoe store. And a lot of people go, well, yeah, it's all about just selling more socks. And of course, a company wants to sell socks that sell socks. I don't sell socks, so you can buy socks wherever you want. But it is often the case that some kind of sock that is going to help pull moisture away from your foot is going to help prevent issues down the line. And that includes some of those fungal things that happen that we deal with at my company. So maybe I should be promoting wearing bad socks so that you can get fungus issues and buy solutions from me, but that's not the situation. So there's all kinds of different fibers you can get. Athletic socks, they often come with polyesters and synthetic fibers of some sort that are designed to pull moisture away from your skin. And again, that's because when you leave that sweat on your skin for too long, it's not allowed to be pulled away and then evaporate. It can result in, fungal issues, which is no fun for anybody. But along that line too, if your feet are waterlogged from sweat, in the summertime when it's really hot, I have a whole system called the squish factor in terms of, do my feet feel squishy? Can I hear the shoes squish? And then can somebody else hear the shoes squish on me? That's the 1, 2, and 3 levels of the squish factor. You want to avoid number 3 at all costs. Number 2, where you can hear it yourself, pretty bad. And then number 1, where you just feel a little squishy, it's super hot, you're just dying of sweat. That's where you really need that good sock, because it's doing a lot of work to get that moisture away from your skin. Because what else happens? Blisters. And that's where that anti-chafe balm comes into play, where that's going to help prevent some of those blisters and really kind of wet, humid, sticky situations. But if you don't have that extra nice sock also working for you, then it's going to become even harder to move away from the situation where you potentially end up with fungus issues, and more likely those blisters that are going to develop on your feet, which may become calluses. It depends on where they are, but they're going to be painful to deal with in the interim. As mentioned, there are lots of different kinds of socks. If you want to go au naturel, so to speak, there's a particular kind of sheep, the merino sheep. Often, as far as I know, they live in New Zealand. Maybe they live someplace else. But their wool is really nice because it's good for hot and cold weather, and it's kind of naturally moisture wicking. So there are a number of companies that make merino wool socks. They are not cheap. I'll say that up front. And the reason is probably a supply and demand thing. There's a lot of demand and not a ton of supply in relative terms. So if you're going to go that route, ask for some for Christmas. Buy yourself a pair like once a month maybe and kind of collect them over time if you want to wear those. Otherwise, you're looking at athletic socks. There are, again, tons and tons of brands. Many shoe manufacturers make nice socks as well, athletic socks, running shoe manufacturers. So check out those brands. But you want to find something besides just that white cotton sock that you probably grew up with to run in. So those are my 3 tips for taking care of your feet. Use good skincare routines like salt soaks, anti-chafe balm, that kind of stuff. Again, solpri.com/shop if you want to check that out from us. Get proper fitting shoes. Do not wear too tight of shoes when you're racing, even though it is a short period of time. And wear socks meant for running that are going to pull moisture away from your feet. Do you have any questions for me about running? Anything running related or even triathlon related? I've done videos on that before too. Leave them in the comments below. I'd love to do a video for you in the future. I'll see you next time on the next episode of Runner's High.